Good morning everybody and welcome back to Dee's Yard. I almost didn't do a garden tour. I really wish that I did this earlier in the year. Even last month would have been fantastic. Here we are in the dog days of summer in August and everything's just looking a little bit spent and tired, and we've been having some crazy storms and it just got finished raining, so you're going to see a lot of the plants are actually flopped over and just not doing their best. But nonetheless, here's a quick garden tour, and if it's worth anything, at least I'll have this video to look back upon and see all the transformation I've done since then. This is definitely a work in progress up front. We have a fire hydrant area, so we have to be very mindful with what plants we put in, but this area needs some work. We need to put in some more rock, but there is a Pampas grass that's getting ready to bloom. There's not much to show here by the mailbox area. This area is typically in full bloom in spring, late spring, and early summer. But there's some vinca that seeded themselves. Some cat mint. This is called Cat's Pajamas by Proven Winners. There's some creeping phlox back there. More cat pajamas and vinca. A orange daylily. On the mailbox I have a climbing clematis. And just a repeat of the cat mint and creeping phlox. There's a quick shot of the house area. We have an island in front of the house. That fountain does not work. We're getting a new one in the beginning of the year. I'm super excited about that. There's a Norway Maple tree. The entire island is bordered by liriope. And then there's a Machanthus grass, also known as Chinese silvergrass. On either side of the garage, I have a purple fountain grass, also with some supertunias. It's been raining like crazy lately, so it's a little bit flopped over, but that will stand back up once it dries out, but I'll insert some pictures that I did of that. The landscape lighting, my husband and I put that in this winter. I'll insert some pictures to show you that. We're going to be doing a lot of landscape lighting in our backyard as well, so we'll have some DIYs on that. On the outer side of the sidewalks, there's just vinca annual that actually come back every year. They just seed themselves and spread. And then I have a whole bunch of liriope grass, which is actually currently in bloom with these beautiful lilac stalks. But this is a very easy border. There's really no maintenance except cutting these grasses back in the late winter for the new flush. And the vincas are drought tolerant and very hands-off. And they really just put on a show. Let me step back over to the other side of the sidewalk. All right, more liriope, more vinca. And this is my heuchera area. I have a new one back here, actually from the Southern Living Plant Collection, called Alabama Beauty. Then here's my calla lilies. They already bloomed. They finished blooming. They're purple. I'll insert a picture. And then here is my massive weeping Japanese maple. And we have some landscape lighting, spotlight under that as well. More vinca, calla lilies, and heuchera. On the porch, we just have some creeping Jenny and Coleus. This thing gets massive. I'm constantly having to prune it back. All right, so let's move on in the front of the house. And the goal here is actually to extend this border out, make it more of a natural wavy border, and add more plants in front. But we have an arrangement of sky pencil hollies. This is a firepower nandina, and that's a golden globe arborvitae. More nandina, sky pencil, golden globe arborvitae, and it continues on. More sky pencil holly, more liriope in bloom. And then on this side of the house, I have 3 red diamond loropetalum, and that's also from the Southern Living Plant Collection. This is a soft touch holly. And the big grasses in the back, which I absolutely love, is called a reed canonary grass. All right, so now we're in the backyard, and I did want to mention I will have a video up showing exactly everything that we want to do, but eventually I want this entire border of our backyard fence to just be a complete garden, just covered up. And I want the water garden to be like its own room and to just be bordered by a garden as well. We have plans this fall to reseed this entire yard. So we do want to work on the lawn. I'm not big on grass and lawn, but I would like something beautiful for my kids to play on and just to kind of mirror into the gardens. So let me do a quick pan. I did want to mention that everything you see here is first year plants with the exception of 4, and I'll go over those once we get to them. But we used to have about, I don't know, 15 to 20 rose bushes just surrounding this entire deck. And it just got to be way too much when it came to the pruning. I didn't have much winter interest. I'll also insert a picture to show you all that. But that was a chore that I did this winter. I took out all those mature rose bushes and then I designed this. And this spring I went out, got the plants and planted them. So this area here, the plan is to have a lot of garden beds for my vegetables. I have one started so far. And the back outside the fence is where I plan on doing my pumpkins and watermelons eventually when I get to it. But I went ahead and sowed in some seeds for my fall crop. The carrots haven't came up yet, which is expected. They take longer. But I have some cabbage sprouting and my bush beans came up. Also, I have some zucchini squash and that just came up as well, which I usually do in a container. This area right here is my rehab area for all my plants I get on clearance, and I'm doing a video on that. Nestled in the back is a 7 living plant, and this is called Orange Rocket Barberry. It starts off a very green chartreuse color, and in the sun it matures to a beautiful maroon color. There's a liriope. This was already here. I have a boxwood I need to plant. And then over here, the only plant that is not first year is in the back, and that's just a variegated Weigela that I have. That gets pruned back very hard every late winter. And then on either side of the hydrangea are 2 jubilation gardenias. These are from the Southern Living Plant Collection. They get about 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, and you see they're budded up. When this plant blooms, it is fragrant. This entire area smells amazing. This hydrangea that is flopped over because of all the rain, but don't worry, it will stand back up once it dries out. This is from the Proven Winners collection. It's a limelight hydrangea paniculata, also known as a panicle hydrangea, which means they can take more sun. But the blooms are huge. Even for their first year, they have been putting on a show. The next area over here is what I call my pollinator alley, and I strategically place this here to be closer to my vegetable garden, to invite all the pollinators. This Japanese maple is not a first year plant. This has been here. I've just limbed it up higher than what it was. It used to provide a big shade area right here and block on our deck, but I've been pruning that up so I have enough sun for my plants. This is a arborescens hydrangea, also known as smooth hydrangea. It is an Annabelle, and it gets about 3 to 5 feet tall and wide. This is looking a little bit sad, and that's because I harvested all the blooms for a centerpiece on my porch. The next plant over, the bees go absolutely crazy for. There's a butterfly on it right now, and a few bees already working it this morning. This is by Proven Winners, called Rockin' Playing the Blue Salvia. And I'm in zone 7, so this should be a perennial for me. The next plant over is nothing to brag about right now. It's just a baptisia. It's called Decadent Sparkling Sapphires. This is also by Proven Winners, but this blooms in the spring. More pollinators enjoying the rockin' the playing the blues. The next plant over is a variegated Radiance Abelia. This gets about 3 to 4 feet tall and wide as well. And I love this plant. It's evergreen, and the hummingbirds go crazy for these white trumpet blooms. Gorgeous. Nestled in the back is just a basic clearance. I believe it's called Rose Salvia, and it's a beautiful pink. The only thing is I may not keep this plant here. We'll see how it does next year. It flops over like crazy. I don't enjoy that. The first flush of blooms was beautiful, but the second and third, I'm just not impressed. So we'll see how it does next year. The next plant over is another example why I really wish I did this garden tour about a month ago. It was definitely in its prime. This is a butterfly bush, Buddleia, called Pugster Blue, and it gets about 2 feet tall and wide. Pollinators love this one as well. I just recently deadheaded a lot of the spent blooms to get a second reflush. And I have 3 Veronica surrounding the butterfly bush. These are also from the Proven Winners collection. They're called Magic Show White Wands. And the bees work this thing. I really love this plant, y'all. I've already sheared it back like 3 times and it just does its thing. I have a little blank slate right here. So I'm thinking either a catmint or maybe some alliums or even maybe a dwarf lavender. I have not decided yet, but if y'all have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. And over from the steps, this is my winter interest area, which is funny because I also designed it in the winter. The first 2 plants on either side of this hydrangea are also from the Southern Living Plant collection. They're called Purple Daydream Loropetalum, and they're dwarfs. They only get about 2 to 3 feet high and about 3 to 4 feet in width. This is probably my favorite hydrangea that I have. This is from the Southern Living Plant collection called White Wedding Hydrangea. It's also paniculata, so it takes a lot of sun. And it gets about 3 to 5 feet in height and width. I highly recommend this, y'all. It's absolutely gorgeous and it's strong. Next over to that, I have a lemon lime nandina. It gets about 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. I love the chartreuse color. I have another weeping Japanese maple, and this was not a first year, this was here. Underneath that Japanese maple, I did put in some encore azaleas. They're not in bloom right now, but they are called Autumn Fire. They're dwarfs also. They only get about 2.5 feet tall and about 3 feet wide. In front of them, I was on the hunt for the longest time. I had to have them. They're from the Southern Living Plant collection called Pancake Arborvitae. They're super hardy. They get down to like zone 4, I believe, and they only get about 18 inches tall and about 2 to 3 feet wide. But they're absolutely just fun. They're super soft, and I don't know, I just love that blue-green foliage that it has. And next to them is another lemon lime nandina. Another orange rocket barberry, which barberry do not like to get their feet wet, so I need to figure out what's going on and why there's not a lot of drainage in this area. I have 2 newly planted Camellia sasanquas from the Southern Living Plant collection, and they're called October Magic Rose. They get about 6 to 8 feet tall and 3 to 4 feet wide. And those are not bloom yet, they'll bloom in the fall. And then I have another Purple Daydream Loropetalum to kind of tie it all together. This is my garden shed area, but on the window box, these are only 3 plants. In the middle is a diamond frost euphorbia, and on either side are Supertunia Vista Fuchsia petunias. On either side, I have 2 hanging baskets, and the Japanese beetles have really done some work on these this year. That's okay. I just recently pruned a ton of it back, and they're about to flush out again. I'll show you a couple pictures though of back when I first planted them and midway through. But the verbena is a Superbena stormburst, no deadheading for these, and they are taking over this hanging basket. And I have 2 types of calibrachoa. These are super bells. This is a blue moon punch. And then the pink one I have is called Cherry Star. Let's head on up to the deck. I want to show you a couple things, but when we're on the way up there, I did want to thank y'all for hanging out with me today and following me on my little garden tour. Like I said, I almost didn't do this tour just because I feel like everything's looking a little bit spent right now. I mean, the dog days of summer are really beating us up, and the rain showers are just kind of making everything look a little bit sad. But hey, nonetheless, at least I have some footage to look back upon when all these renovations start to really get going. And I wanted to mention, this is one plant, y'all. One plant. You may have seen this in a couple of my videos. It's by Proven Winners, called Supertunia Vista Bubblegum, and it is a beast, y'all. I do have a couple hanging plants, just a couple Boston ferns. This potted coleus is very special to me because my girlfriend's grandmother gave me a couple cuttings from her coleus. All she did was stick them into some soil and look at them go. So this is a shout out to Mama Ray. Thank you so much. I have really been appreciating your beautiful coleus. The next, oh, and there's my dog. Her name is Bella, and she is my garden and guard dog. Here is my part shade potted plant that I have on the porch. These are a type of polka dot plant called Hippo Rose from the Proven Winners collection. I will be bringing these inside to overwinter. And the flowers are called Rockapoco Rose. It is a double impatient. And these have been blooming their heads off since the spring. They have not stopped, and they're still budded up, ready to go with more. They never give up. There's only one downside to this beautiful impatient, and that is the mess. No deadheading, but they leave quite a mess on the ground. So again, thank you guys so much for joining me with this August garden tour. Really hope to have some future garden tours, and I can't wait to show you guys the spring and summer and how everything looks. To me, that is the best time of the garden. I hope y'all have a great day. Bye.